Out in the wilderness, at the very ends of the earth where no city stands and no altar burns, a titan hangs in chains. Each morning, an eagle descends from the heavens and begins to peck. It pecks and pecks until it has broken through the mighty titan's skin, whereupon it begins to feast on his liver. Each evening after the bird has flown away, the mighty titan's wounds are healed, so that tomorrow he may suffer the same fate all over again. And so it goes on forever. And all because he gave something to mankind, something that the gods believed should never be ours. A little flame, a flame we still carry to this day. So who really was Prometheus? Why did he steal the fire of knowledge from the gods? And why does he occupy such a special place in our cultural memory? Join me to find out the answers to these questions and more as we dive into the myths of the old world. Perhaps one of the most famous images in all of Greek myth is that of the terrible fate of the titan Prometheus, alone and chained to a rock while an eagle eats his liver each day, every day, for all eternity. But there's far more to the story of Prometheus than simply his iconic punishment. He's a pivotal character in the Greek Mythological Universe. But to understand why he's so important, we first need to understand who and what he really is. The first thing to know is that Prometheus is a titan. Titans were the elder powers of the Greek universe, immense divine beings who often represented not personalities so much as principles: time, memory, prophecy, justice, light, and so on and so forth. In short, the raw forces from which the world itself was shaped. If you haven't seen it already, there's a link in the description for my video explaining what the Titans were, how they came about, and also their downfall, and it'll also be linked at the end of this episode. Prometheus was the son of Iapetus, the Titan who represented mortality and the human condition, and Clymene, an Oceanid and goddess of fame, renown, and infamy. Among his siblings were Atlas, the titan of burden and endurance, and Menetius, who's associated with rash actions and violent anger. His name literally means doomed strength. But Prometheus is perhaps most closely associated with his brother, Epimetheus, whose name means hindsight or afterthought. It should come as no surprise to you then that Prometheus's name means foresight or forethought. This is how the Titans seemed to operate, and it's crucial to understanding the story of Prometheus. Just as the Titan Kronos symbolically embodied time and inevitability, Prometheus may also embody foresight or thinking ahead. Keep this in mind as we discuss the story of Prometheus throughout this episode. It certainly changes how we might look at him for his role in the Titanomachy. For those who don't know, the Titanomachy is what these days might be better known as the Clash of the Titans. It's the great cosmic war between the old order and the new. On the one side stood Kronos and the Titans, the elder powers who'd ruled the universe ever since overthrowing their own father, Uranos, the primordial Skyfather. On the other side stood Zeus and the younger Olympian gods, determined to do exactly the same and wrestle control of the cosmos from Kronos. Kronos, you see, had recently taken to eating, or more accurately swallowing, all of his children, after learning
from earth and starry heaven that it was fated for him to be defeated by his own child, powerful though he was.
Zeus had been hidden from Kronos by his mother Rhea and raised in secret by Gaia in the depths of the earth, where he grew to be strong and wise and immensely powerful. He was determined to depose his evil father and rescue his siblings from his father's belly. At its heart, the Titanomachy is a story about succession and power, and about an old world refusing to make way for a new one. Kronos cannot accept that the prophecy predicting his own downfall is true, and so he takes all steps that he can to avoid that outcome. It's here that Prometheus makes the first great decision that will define his legend. When the war begins, most of the Titans stand with Kronos, the ruler of the cosmos, including two of Prometheus's brothers, Atlas and Menetius. But Prometheus decides against it, and instead sides with Zeus and the Olympians. Meanwhile, Menetius is killed by Zeus in the battle, and is then banished to Tartarus, the deepest abyss of the Greek cosmos. And Atlas, famously, is punished by Zeus for his role in the war by being condemned to hold up the heavens for all eternity. Now you know why a book of maps bears his name. Interestingly, we don't know which side Epimetheus fought on, or whether he fought at all. So, why did Prometheus betray his fellow Titans and side with Zeus? Remember that Prometheus is Forethought. He looks ahead and sees what Kronos cannot. The time of the Titans is over. Kronos is repeating the mistakes of his own father, Uranos, and he is resisting succession. But his resistance is futile. The prophecy is quite clear. Kronos will be defeated by his own child, and Zeus, being that child, is the future. But this is not the only great decision that Prometheus would make, and not the only future that he would choose. Some later sources credit Prometheus with being the creator of humanity, but even though the older sources of Hesiod and Aeschylus don't corroborate this, they are consistent in portraying Prometheus as our benefactor, as a champion of humanity. He is the one who looks out for us and has our best interests truly at heart. In Prometheus Bound, we're given a glimpse of the sort of things that humanity can thank Prometheus for.
Senseless as beasts I gave men sense, possess them of mind. I speak not in contempt of man, I do but tell of good gifts I conferred. In the beginning, seeing, they saw amiss, and hearing heard not, but, like phantoms huddled in dreams, the perplexed story of their days confounded. Knowing neither timberwork nor brick-built dwellings basking in the light, but dug for themselves holes, wherein like ants that hardly may contend against a breath, they dwelt in burrows of their unsunned caves. Neither of winter's cold had they fixed sign, nor of the spring when she comes decked with flowers, nor yet of summer's heat with melting fruits sure token, but utterly without knowledge moiled, until I the rising of the stars showed them, and when they set, though much obscure. Moreover, number, the most excellent of all inventions, I for them devised, and gave them writing that retaineth all, the serviceable mother of the muse. I was the first that yoked unmanaged beasts to serve with collar and with pack, and to take upon themselves, to man's relief, the heaviest labour of his hands, and tamed to the rein and drove in wheeled cars the horse, of sumptuous pride the ornament, and those sea wanderers with the wings of cloth, the shipmen's wagons, none but I contrived.
It's quite a list. Perhaps it should be no surprise that he did so much for us. After all, his father, Iapetus, was mortality and the human condition itself. But perhaps it's also because humans, quite uniquely, embody forethought in a way that no other animal seems to do. We plan for the winter, we teach future generations, we set up long-term cooperation. We're always striving to be what we have not yet become. You might argue that human beings are fundamentally Promethean in nature. Perhaps Prometheus chooses to be our champion because he recognizes in humanity the only mortal creatures capable of participating in his domain. How does he champion us? Well, with his most famous act, the theft of fire.
Prometheus, the noble son of Iapetus, outwitted Zeus by stealing the far-beaconing flare of untiring fire in the tube of a fennel. And it stung high thundering Zeus deep to the spirit, and angered him in his heart when he saw the far-beaconing flare of fire among mankind.
Now, as I'm sure you already realise, the Greek mythological universe is packed with symbolism. As we discussed already, Prometheus appears not just to be a titan, but seems to represent Forethought itself. In the same way, when we hear that he stole fire from the gods, he didn't just steal fire. The fire represents something much deeper. Fire in Greek myth is linked to craft and technology, to metallurgy and transformation. It's also tied to the idea of illumination and reason, to the very notion of knowledge and meaning. Aeschylus makes the link fairly explicit in Prometheus Bound.
I purged the glancing eye of fire, dim before, and made its meaning plain. These are my works. All manner of arts men from Prometheus learned.
When he steals fire from the gods and gives it to humanity, Prometheus is giving humanity the ability to learn and reason, and to transform nature. In Aeschylus' telling, he's giving us civilization itself. He's the reason that humans don't simply adapt to their environments. We can reshape our environments to suit our needs. And in doing this, Prometheus freed us from our dependence upon the gods. This is what makes Zeus so angry. He views this as an act of betrayal, but therein lies Zeus's mistake. Prometheus was never loyal to Zeus. He is Foresight. He is loyal only to the future, to whatever comes next. Prometheus, with this single act, gave humanity technology, autonomy, and self-determination. All of a sudden, Zeus had become not powerless exactly, but unnecessary. Zeus's punishment of Prometheus is extreme and iconic. In Prometheus Bound, the scene is set right from the very start, when Kratos says to the great smith Hephaestus,
Now we have journeyed to a spot of earth remote, the Scythian wild, a waste untrod. And now, Hephaestus, thou must execute the task our father laid on thee, and fetter this malefactor to the jagged rocks, in adamantine bonds infrangible. For thine own blossom of all forging fire, he stole and gave to mortals. Trespass grave, for which the gods have called him to account, that he may learn to bear Zeus's tyranny, and cease to play the lover of mankind.
While in Theogony, Hesiod is more explicit.
And he bound crafty Prometheus in inescapable fetter, grievous bonds, driving them through the middle of a pillar. And he set a great winged eagle upon him, and it fed upon his immortal liver, which grew the same amount each way at night as the great bird ate in the course of the day.
If we look at this closely, something strange begins to emerge. Why does Zeus chain him up in a remote place at the ends of the earth? Why is it an eagle who comes to feast upon him every day? And why is it Prometheus's liver that forms the meal? In Greek myth, details like these are almost never accidental. The symbolism of chains is perhaps obvious enough, and of course the eagle is one of the most recognised symbols of Zeus himself, but it might seem curious at first that Zeus decides not to punish Prometheus in a palace or a prison or even the underworld. Instead, he sends him to the Scythian wilds, what was, to the Greeks, the very edge of the world, far from any temples or cities, far from civilization itself. He isolates him. You might say that's a fitting place for such a punishment. After all, the fate of those who see further than others is often to stand apart from them. But for Prometheus, who loved humanity dearly, being tortured far away from any possible interaction with human civilization was part of the punishment itself. So it is out at the very edges of the wilds, a remote nowhere, far from anywhere at all, where the eagle of Zeus eats Prometheus's liver over and over again, each day, literally forever. But why his liver? Doesn't that sound oddly specific? Why not his heart? Why not his eyes? Well, to the ancient Greeks, the liver is associated with life, with emotion, passion, and even the inner seat of a being's vitality. That is what the eagle is really feasting upon. And crucially, and not just in Prometheus's case, livers regenerate. Just when you thought this story couldn't get any darker. That is what Prometheus endures day after day for all eternity. And this, for me, is where the story of Prometheus becomes quite fascinating. Because before we leave him there, chained to the mountain, remember what his name means. Prometheus is Forethought. He betrayed Kronos in the Titanomachy because he could see what Kronos could not. Zeus, and not Kronos, was the future. And then he betrayed Zeus because perhaps he could see something Zeus could not. Humanity, and not the gods, was the future. And if Prometheus truly embodies Forethought, if he truly is the Titan of seeing ahead, then perhaps he also saw the chains. Perhaps he saw the mountain and the eagle. Perhaps he knew exactly what stealing the fire and giving it to humanity would cost him. And he did it anyway. That's why I love this story so much. For me, it's the real reason that Prometheus occupies such a special place in our cultural memory. Because in Prometheus, the Greeks appeared to see something that was profoundly human. And it wasn't just our intelligence or planning or our capacity for invention. It was our ability to look at the world as it is, to recognize injustice, to understand the potential consequences of resisting it, and to act anyway. According to the Greeks, we owe everything to Prometheus. In giving us fire, he gave us the power to shape our own destiny, and Zeus could not take that fire back. Once given, it was too late. Humanity had already changed. But the king of Olympus had another idea. If mankind couldn't be kept weak and stupid, then perhaps they could be kept distracted, or worse, thwarted entirely. And so he fashioned a gift. An irresistibly beautiful woman whose name was Pandora. And we'll find out all about her and her famous jar in another episode. Thanks very much for watching. Please give the video a like if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more if you're new here. This is the place for all things myth, particularly Greek and Norse mythology, but we'll be expanding much wider as time goes on, so stick around for more. And if mythical creatures and ancient folklore is also your thing, then head over to our sister channel Beasts of the Old World 2, where we cover those things in detail. A big thanks to my patrons who help me keep going with this full time. They get early access to Myths and Beasts of the Old World episodes, uncensored and completely ad-free, for just £2 a month. And if you want to support the Old World too, as well as get access to exclusive content, then click the link in the description to check it out. Thanks again for watching. I'm Nick, and I will see you in the next one.